Saseni Mkofiti. Yeah, guys, I am sorry I kept you waiting for a whole week, but welcome to part 2. You were saying we should have this, what did you call them? Conversation. Difficult,
yeah.
Because they are difficult.
Yes.
Conversation during dating and courtship period. We had one with Kimani. I think that was the first time we had one. Kwa hii discussion. Finances and marriage.
Yes.
That is one very difficult conversation.
For sure.
Question, hebu nikuulize, hii dating period, dating and courtship period, how long is it?
So on average, statistically, it's 2.5 years. So marriages, generally speaking, that they dated prior for at least 2.5 years before they tied the knot. At least 2.5 years, they tend to work better than those who they dated less.
Wait, we date for 2.5?
2.5 years, yes.
Like statistically?
Correct.
That's
correct.
what?
Yes. Remember, you're going to be with this person for 60 years.
70, 60,
60, 70, lifetime, according to how God bless you. So 2.5 years is nothing, really. You know, for you to get that job you have maybe of that you possibly not even very happy with. How many years have you been in school since nursery? Like it's average 16 years. We studied for 16 years to get a BA, a degree, right?
Yeah.
And then why do we get worried that 2.5 years is too long?
So 2.5 years naishi na umse ama?
No.
Okay,
see, that's the interesting part. So people who start by living together before marriage, those relationships tend to work less. Like they're less satisfied with their relationship. More separations tend to happen in those relationships that started with kuja tujaribiane kwanza. Kuja nione uko aje.
But me na feeling hiyo ndo easier kuliko nitoke kwetu leo usiku, niende nikaishi na umse na sijaishi na yeye na tumeoana. Siwezi rudi kwetu. Okay, well, that was my case. I used to sneak in a few days, go back to my mom, sneak in. But then if you ask us, the people who are married right now,
yes,
we wish
kwanza
tungekaa tujuane alafu tusign.
See, the problem is not that mliishi pamoja au mkuishi pamoja, is the quality of the conversations, the quality of the time you had.
The difficult
conversations that you never had.
Okay.
It's not because you never lived together, right? What happens is oftentimes when you start living together with someone and you're not very... So what can save those cohabitation situation to make it work is from the word go. Tunaishi pamoja, but we know this is for life. We have not said that to everybody else, but we know. We are not testing each other.
Yeah.
The problem is when you start testing each other, the desire for marriage decreases over time, and I always know I can get out. So I don't
because there's an option.
Yes, so I don't have to put on the effort.
Yeah, because there's an option.
Yes, there's an option to leave. What the ring does is it makes you say, this is the one, I have to do this. If you go to an investor, right? And I don't know if you watch Shark Tank or Lion's Den, one of the things the investors ask is whether you're going to invest your time completely in this business you want them to invest in. If you tell them, no, this is a side hustle, you can be sure they're not going to invest in it.
Because you've not given it your all.
Yes, you're not giving it your all. You don't believe in it yourself.
No,
So they're very, very keen on that.
Okay.
Right.
So, but what you're saying is not necessarily 2.5 years, but according to...
On average.
Kabla munikule hapo kwa comments,
because
we have people who did for 6 months, marry,
and
they are good.
Yes, but the problem is those are what we call exceptions. Exceptions are not the rule.
Yours might be that exception.
Yes.
Yours. So worry not.
Yes.
Yeah, because, well.
So it's not written in stone. Again, I like to remind people like this, right? Just like the way we were speaking previously about attachment. We spoke about the secure attachment, the anxious, the avoidant. There's a neglectful we didn't speak about, but that's okay. And we're saying, even though these things affect people, they're not written in stone. You can be intentional.
Yeah.
So the same thing I would say, even though average is 2.5 years, it doesn't mean that if you dated for 6 months, your marriage is not going to work. But it is the outlier. It is the exception. It is not the average. Okay, so I'm not saying, it will never work. So just to be clear about that.
Just to be clear, guys. Msianze kusema, we alisema, wanze kufukuza mtu wako. No, guys. Then there's one difficult. Well, there are many, but there's one I want us to focus on.
Yes.
We had an episode here with Njukush, Timothy. Kimani again. He was, thanks to you, by the way, when he guest mzuri sana, Kimani is very hard. But well, the fans wali mpenda, they were so happy with him. He called himself a professional in terms of finances. And finance is that one difficult conversation that relationships, ama people in a relationship, inakuanga ngumu sana. Me, I won't lie, even me, after that conversation, but it's still hard. And I can't, okay. There's something he said, for us women, we save for the unknown. I remember this very well because aliuliza, kwani sisi wanaume hatuna unknown? Well, I've never been a man, so I don't know about wanaume. But from where I come from, sisi wa mama, ndo sisi umia zaidi.
Right.
According to what I see, according to what we hear. When, in case of any separation in a family, mama tu ndo uteseka. Not all, but mostly. Again, you with the kids, you don't have anywhere to go. So, hii story ya finance na relationship, shida ukuwa.
Okay, so there are two things to consider. Again, where you grew up matters. So we call them manuscripts. We have 4 kinds of manuscript. There is the money status people. Okay, so there are tests that we assess to know what your manuscript like. So this one, the one we use is developed by psychologists called clones. Okay, but anyway, there are 4 kinds of scripts.
The clones, like the
clones. The name, the guy is called clones. Okay. So he developed this script. So the first kind of script that people have, 3 of them are associated with poverty or money does not become your friend if you have this kind of script. The first one is money status, where your net worth equals your self-worth, and your self-worth equals your net worth.
So when I have money, that is me.
Yes.
When I don't have money.
So for you, you want to show. You need to show people that I am wealthy.
Au tunaweza ukisema kila category na kupea example yo Charlie kenye naona kwa kichwa wangu. Your money equals your net worth.
Your money equals your self-worth, yeah.
Your self-worth. Ni wale ma boys, well, I'm talking again about men because I'm a girl.
Right.
Mwenye akiwa na do, yani anaweza ongelesha waiter vibaya sana. When you go out on a date.
Yes.
Kuna kakiburi ko upanda.
Correct.
Akifunguliwa gate na soja, unaona tu Charlie. Why are you like that?
Yes.
But kama hana do hata simuoni, hataki nimuone.
Correct. Because their self-esteem has gone down with the amount their bank account. So their self-esteem rises and falls according to their bank account.
End month anataka tuende. I get that one.
Right?
Number 2.
So these people can go into debt to try to sustain a life they cannot. Then we have, yes. Right?
Okay.
So it's going to be very difficult to have a conversation with a partner like that.
Exactly.
Because they will go into debt to sustain, to keep up with the Joneses, as we would say, to try to show to the world I'm wealthy. And especially if they grew up in a poor background and they want to show that I have worked, I have money now, or they grew up seeing that people who are respected and were people who had money.
December wanahaya Uber.
Bus.
A whole week.
Yes.
Yes. Akifika kwa wanalala kwa kahoteli hapo mtaa.
Correct.
Number 2.
Anakuja kusava maya. Tuna money worshipper. These are people who believe more money is going to solve their, all their problems. More money equals happiness. Okay, so they will spend again, just like the other fellow. But the other guy is about self-worth. This is about happiness.
So treat the boys.
Yes,
come over for meat.
Give people loans, to show them. Even if they don't have, they'll pick loans for the family. Just for nothing, just to show that, money solves everything.
Like he'll never say I don't have.
Yes. And so they will sacrifice even the family and the relationships to look for money.
To make other people notice them, Ama?
No, for them. This notice them is about the money status. These guys is just, it could be to be noticed, but for me, the main reason is more money is going to make me happy. Money is my God. Money is my meaning. The pursuit of money is everything I care about.
Okay.
And money is never enough for this person. It's never enough. Again, they never get as wealthy because they tend to also to get into debts because they buy things to prove to themselves that they have money. They work on credit.
Okay.
The money worshipper. Number 3 is called money avoidance.
They don't want money?
Yes. There are people who believe money is bad. Okay, they have been told your pesa siyo yetu. Remember the example of Njugosh?
Yeah.
Iyo utajiri siyo yetu. Okay, so they have a tendency to work as if money doesn't matter. They don't even want to see their M-Pesa when they buy something. They quickly close it. They don't want to see what the balance was. Right? They don't want to have a budget.
So they don't want to have money.
They literally avoid those tasks that require them to be accountable. Okay.
But they might have the money, but they don't want to be seen like they have money.
Yes. No. They also believe that living a simpler life without a lot of money is virtuous. Do you understand? They also can have that script. So people in my profession, social workers, people who are psychologists, people who are out of help to help people, they have a tendency to believe that rich people are greedy and selfish. And I don't want to be identified with that. So they tend to...
They are content.
They self-sabotage without even being aware. that they have a tendency to avoid situations where they could actually make more money, because for them, money, there's something wrong with having a lot of money, and having less is better, and living a simpler life. It could be virtuous because of religious reasons, but there are some who actually sabotage themselves in that manner. Okay. The last one is what you call money vigilance. Okay. So these are people now who make money. Is the best kind. But if it is too much, you save a lot, but you never use. Okay. So people are vigilant. They have a good, healthy amount of anxiety about the future. They will save. They will invest. They use their budgets properly, and you can have a conversation with people like this if the vigilance is again not too much. So these scripts matter, and you can take an assessment to know what your dominant script is. And then you can even understand what the dominant script of your husband is or your wife is. Then you can have a conversation around that. Now, you asked the question before I spoke about this and kind of escaped. Do you remember the question you asked me now as I was developing the script? Remember why we were speaking about this? Because now it came kidogo. Yes.
It's because the discussion we had with Njugush.
Yes.
Us women, we tend to save
correct.
for the future, for the unknown.
Yes. Now, women... There are difference between men and women. One of them is on anxiety. So women have higher levels of anxiety. Now, anxiety is a future emotion. It's an emotion that is concerned about the future.
Exactly.
Why? Number one, women have to take care of children. You have to notice when there's something wrong with your child or your child will die. And you can observe this, so that a man can stay with a child who is hungry and not notice at all. Yeah. Like, can't you see like my child who need to have the diaper changed? And the guy has no clue.
Timo tells me umekuwa na umama mingi. So umejuaje ni diaper?
Yes, that's the thing. So that is the healthy amount of anxiety that women need, and it can be useful for them. Again, because of that, they have higher levels of anxiety and mental health issues than men, right? But because of this anxiety that makes them save a little bit more than men. Men, on the other hand, we tend to take risks. Even if you look at the jobs that men do, they have higher levels of risk. Being a policeman, being a soldier, working on electric fences, driving safari rally vehicles, all these are risk-taking activities. So more men will be in risk-taking activities that can cause short-term gain. That is a lot. And that's one of the reasons why men sometimes are not very much concerned about the future. Also because, as you said, if a marriage sometimes doesn't work, most of the time, the burden of the children
is the woman.
It goes on the woman.
But now you see so now I get it. We are more anxious about the future.
Yes.
Then this one is a risk taker.
Yes.
So on venye tushaanza kucollide. You want to risk about the future. Me, I want to be sure that next year school fees imelipwa saa hii. Mwingine anangoja tarungoja January tulipe your school fees.
But you see, it can be a collision or it can be a very good match. You have someone who is saving and you have someone who is investing. You have someone who is taking risks and someone who is guarding the home. Do you understand? This can be a very good match if you're able to get into a good dance out of it, right? So sometimes you can get a lot of returns from those short-term risks, those short-term investments, and it can be good for you. And sometimes you need someone who saves. And that's why one of the dynamics of a couple that they need to figure out is, how do we manage our money? What role do you play? No, for you are better at making sure that our ATMs are up to date, that we know our financial records are done. You are good at that. So you do that. Me, I'll just be bringing the money.
Yeah.
So we have fit in nicely, right? So, but the problem is you also need to understand, what does being accountable to your partner feel like? If I am a man and being accountable to my wife feels like a threat, kwani niambie mama kile na pesa yangu. Wewe nikileta pesa unakubali, hiyo ingine inaisha hivyo. Right? So, you don't want, and maybe you're a modern woman, you're like, mimi siwezi ambia mwanaume juu ya pesa yangu. I do what I want with my money. Hiyo story ya kuambia mwanaume ile nafanya na do yangu, why should I do that? Okay, so you also need to understand, what does transparency and accountability mean for you? Where does it come from? Maybe you grew up in a family where money was always a fight.
So again, now, it goes back to the background.
Yes. Now you're in a new family, you're in a new relationship, and either you become like your parents, always fighting about money, or you are so anxious about talking about money that you avoid the conversation altogether because you remember how much it was a problem in your own family. And so when people like that marry, so take, for example, you came from a family where in your family, you never spoke about money. And so you became that. Tim comes from a place maybe where they spoke about money. Pesa iko wapi, tunatafuta wapi. So you're trying to have a conversation and you're avoiding the conversation. Tim wants to have the conversation. Tuongee kuhusu pesa, sasa mimi sitaki kuongea hiyo pesa. kuhusu mambo ya pesa. So that becomes a sort of a collision. So knowing your money script, where you're coming from, as we have spoken about, is very, very essential to having this conversation. Then you cannot just tell, hey, Njogosh, ukifika nyumbani nataka tuongee kuhusu pesa. No, that you don't do that. You plan out and say, okay, once a week you're going to have a money date. And we're going to talk about our finances. And we prepare mentally for that. Right?
So it's easier when there's no money, all of you are in the same plate. When there's money, all of you know.
Yes.
So hakuna hiyo stress ya we lete we hauna kila saa, because I feel like transparency is hata tulisema it's a key thing, because shida ni there's no money. Like you tell me there's no money, but what you do, your actions, nika huyo money, what the first guy,
the money status,
money, like yeah, every time your friends know you have money.
Yes.
But on the other side, back at home, we don't have money. Me as the woman who will sing for the future. Your friends know you have money, but mimi nangoja ujenge nyumba, utujenge, utulipie. Haufanyi huku. So you're showing your friends there's a different status
Correct.
of you out there.
Correct.
But back in the house, everything is opposite.
That sounds like a narcissist. Narcissists do that. They can try to impress people out there. And if you marry a narcissist, what they will do is they will show everyone how kind they are, but you never see that kindness yourself.
You're the bad person.
They are never kind to you. So when you go outside there to tell people, my husband is very difficult, they're like, what do you mean? He's so generous. He is always giving money to the church. He's always helping people. My wife is never kind to me. What do you mean? She's such a good listener. But narcissists tend to surround you like that. They show everyone how kind and nice they are, so they can be liked. But to you, they are very, very hostile. So that can be really, really a big challenge. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
This difficult discussion.
Yeah.
We are meant to have it during that dating.
Yes, money date. You agree that once a week, and at most once in 2 weeks, what happens is people think that that's a lot of time. But you need to have 90 minutes across a week where you speak about your issues as a couple.
So there's finance, then there's
finance, there is sex, there is in-laws, there's religion, and yes, there's a fifth one, but I'm forgetting right now, but these are very, very central.
So all these things before you get married?
Like, it's good to have this conversation, because see, one of the challenges that happens is we are not very honest with each other about our assets and liabilities before we get married. And then you get married to someone and then you realize they're in debt. And now you want to be a good wife or husband. I don't want to leave my wife when they're in debt, but they lied to me, and there's a sense of resentment. You didn't tell me, And then maybe I try to have this conversation with you. Maybe, so your wife comes to the husband and says, or husband goes to the wife and says, okay, I think I've made a bad call regarding money. I spent money badly. So what does the other person say? What's actually wrong with you? Why can't you tell me about this money before you spend it? You're always so selfish. You just think about yourself. Guess what's going to happen in the future? This person is going to be dishonest because you have punished me for being honest with you.
Honest, yeah, for telling you what I did.
And children do the same, by the way. So a child breaks a plate or a cup and comes and tells you, hey, mom, I have broken a plate. Now the child knows I've been punished for being honest. And the child starts to lie. And say, where does my child lie? Because you taught that child to lie. Because when you punish them, when they told you the truth, you even tell them, if you tell me the truth, I'm not going to punish you. And then you punish them. The same happens in a relationship, right? So a person comes to you and they tell you that. And you punish them for for being honest with you. So next time they will avoid that conversation altogether. But if you respond and like, okay, first of all, are you okay? Okay, thank you for sharing that with me. Okay, how bad is the situation? How can we figure that out? How did we learn from that mistake that we can avoid in the future? Right? So you are saying we are in this together and money is here, relationship is here. Not like that. So the manner in which you respond can help, help the person to be more honest with you about their liabilities, about maybe the decisions they have made, right? So those difficult conversations matter. Now, a lot of couples still believe that money is a private thing, even though they're married. A lot of couples still believe that. And so that's where you can have the separate and joint accounts together. I like the yours, mine, ours account system, where we agree that you have your own personal account where you do with whatever you want, and I know how much money it has. Njogoj has his own, you know how much it has, and we have our own joint. So I know at the end of the month what you should contribute to that, to the joint, You know what you expect from your husband to put in the joint, but at the same time you have your own, so you have you don't lose your individuality, right? Yeah. So that can also make it a little bit more fun, So there is a question of
it does,
right?
Yeah.
So it makes it also easier. So having honest conversation seems to be for me a big challenge, and realizing that there's no power play just because you earn more, whether you are the man or the woman. Don't make it a power play. I earn more than you, so what? We are in this together, right?
Yeah.
It's like saying Tugi is more your child because you carried her for 9 months, no? And you're like, where you just contributed very little. It doesn't work like that. We are in this together. So true. I think that is something that I do believe a lot of couples need to figure out.
Personally, whatever you're saying, we are in this together is something that I feel, if you guys are going to be together for 60 years, Bana, make this life easier for all of you. We're in this thing for 60 years.
Yes. Correct.
And
correct.
if at all being transparent is going to work, then let's be transparent. Juu nitakwambia leo niko na thao, kesho nikwambia nilinunua nyanya so mbili but nabaki na thao mbili. Because I'm lying, the math even does not add up.
It's not
just
mathing.
Be open. Nilikuwa na thao nikabai nyanya, sasa niko na so 8.
Yes.
Like, it's more easier when you tell it as is than every time I have to cook figures, lie. So sikumbuki last time nilikudanganyia wapi, so leo sijui niseme niko wapi.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the challenge there usually is, what does it, again, the question of what does being transparent and accountable feel like for you? Coming to tell my wife that I have spent this money. Does it sound like slavery to you? Or does it, yes, nimekaliwa, I have been whipped. Yes. So that's how a lot of people interpret it.
I was saying, you see, at the end of the day, we have common goals, personal goals. You see? So easy common goals kama tunataka tusonge sana. So we do it together.
But do you have those personal goals? Do you have those common goals?
Yes, we do.
That's the thing. No, you do.
See, we have 2 kids already, pamoja. One is school fees, personal.
No, that is true. But see, a lot of people don't have those joint goals. Like, what's your short-term goals? Like, if you sit with a couple and you ask them, tell me about your short-term financial goals. What is it you want to achieve, invest in the next 1 year, intermediate goals in the next 2-3 years, long-term goals in the next 10 years? Where do you see yourselves?
So okay, even if they don't have them, then they don't even see themselves in the next 10 years.
Right. That's
Makes
the problem.
A lot of sense.
That's the problem. You know?
But when every time you're talking about next month, lazima tuende ka road trip. So you have a short-term goal that is keeping you. I love that. Now, the other points that you had mentioned, we should discuss the difficult ones, dating, and there was sex.
So there was finances. We have spoken about that.
Yeah, finances. We've touched on that.
Yes.
I feel like it's too
heavy. There's a lot.
I think I should have you with Kimani here. The 3 of us.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So then there is sex.
Then there is sex.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to talk about sex? To talk about sex during dating?
Your likes and dislikes.
We're supposed to tell each other.
Yes, your perceived intensity of some people have high drive, and maybe you want to discuss about that. What you think about that? There are some people who have a certain don'ts. Like, hey, no, I'm not putting my mouth somewhere.
So if you hear the don'ts are too many, so you just end
this. You are honest with each other. Oh. You're honest with each other. How do you see? One of the things that couples are encouraged to ask each other at the dating level is, how does you being loved look like? How does that look like? So you need also to figure out, as Celestine, what does being loved feel like or look like for me at the dating period? And I tell Jogosh, this is how it feels or I want it to be. And then if Jogosh is not able to meet that, you can be able to honestly tell each other, if you're honest with each other. And it's not going to work. So we just hit and miss, right? So, but you also need to figure out, what does being loved look like? Okay, for me as a man, you might say, when I come home, I would love that you have prepared some food and you serve me and not the house help. Great, can I do that? And then the wife says, do I want to do that? Right? So the wife says, no, for me, okay, now being loved is flowers every week. Hey, me, I can do that. Or being told, PDA, and I want you to hold my hand, yeah. I want you to say nice things to me. Right, there you go. So now, if you married someone who loves to express affection publicly,
have to meet somewhere.
Yes, either meet somewhere or be honest with each other and say, okay, look, it's not going to work. So also having conversation about sex matters. Okay, so sometimes people have very exaggerated expectation about sex. They overrate it. They have things they have watched on pornography, which destroys a lot of marriages over time. Because what happens is the more you watch pornography, especially for the man, the more the sexual activity becomes less satisfying. Okay, so like the man can only feel satisfied by masturbating. I hope I can say that on your show.
okay.
So having conversation about sex matters. Okay, then the other one is about in-laws. That is a difficult conversation. Number three.
That one is huge.
Yes, and it's also related to finances because of black tax. You know.
Yeah. Actually, in-laws in-laws from even the immediate family.
Yes, his in-laws and your in-laws. How often do they visit? How long should they stay when they visit?
I have a very good friend of mine,
Right.
who was telling me the other day, it's been around 7 years. Sahi ndo ameanza kuenjoy pesa ya bwana yake. Because the husband had a lot of responsibilities. He was the firstborn in a family of around 6, 7. Asomeshe hao wote, ajenge mzazi, because they didn't have a dad. So you can imagine, this person stayed, wakapata watoto, even their own kids. Sometimes wanapata hawana kitu juu, all the money, his salary inaenda kwa siblings.
Right.
The mother. So she was telling me, I am so happy. After like 7 years now, we can enjoy our dad's money.
Right.
So you can imagine kama huyu msichana hangekuwa anajua
Yes,
hii
before.
pesa, because the guy has a very nice well-paying job. But alikuwa namshota tumalize na familia yangu juu watu wakijitegemea, now I can do my own stuff. Otherwise, if at all they can't go to school, it will be a burden for me even for the rest like 20 years.
Now imagine if they never had that conversation before. Like you ask what does your in-laws, what does your family expect of you? Before I get into this.
Nisikuja alafu naonanga tu salo yako kumbe iko.
Correct.
Like 10 other people are expecting. I'm paid. I have to pay school fees. I'm paid. I have to give mom. I'm paid. I have to.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that's why dating, some of these things the other person might not even tell you, but you can see. You can see. I was having a conversation with a lady actually yesterday, about dating someone whose mother pays everything for him, right? And so when they went out for a date, this guy says, you have just graduated, let me take you for a day for a lunch date. And then they go and eat, and then the bill comes, and the guy pushes the bill towards her and says, you pay, even though she just had a conversation of the mother and the son, that the mother sent money to the guy.
To pay.
To pay.
For this date.
Yes. So they didn't need to have a conversation for her to know, oh damn, I'm dating a mama's boy here.
So
and someone who's completely dishonest.
So there's a problem.
There's a problem.
The mother paying for the son, there's no problem. I can choose to pay
yes.
for two. Ama, there's a problem.
There's a problem is because it's very, very consistent.
Oh, si kusaidiwa.
Yeah. See, it's not like mom, hey, by the way, mom, nimezikuta sina kadosi nirudishie na amemrushia, and the guy still has gone ahead to lie and push the bill towards the lady.
So there's a problem.
There's a problem. Remember, this guy took out the lady on her graduation. So who was supposed to take care of that bill?
The guy.
Obviously.
If you took me out.
If you took me out.
So this is why this is what I think. If that guy cannot take care of just this, na nikimpea mtoto.
There you go. There you go.
Then it is just me with this one and this one. So if we are dating and we are discussing and I'm seeing all this, then mapema.
You've got to have the courage. And that's why loving yourself first is very, very important. Loving yourself first, so that you don't go hunting for love out there. You know, you're able to say, okay, this is not good for me. And I'm going to prioritize myself in this instance. I cannot be with a person who is acting like this. And I'm not being selfish. I'm honest with myself. I am able to say, no, I'm not being unjust to this person. This person is unfair to me. And these are qualities that I do not want in my future person. So I know how love is for me. I know my expectations. The problem oftentimes is we don't know what we want. Okay? It's like I give you 15 roads and tell you, go. I mean, you can take any road. You know, there's no goal. You can take any road. But if you know where you want to go, you'll be able to select from the 15 because you have a goal. I know where I want to head to. So I know a good road when I see it. You see, and that's the challenge that's happened. So in-laws, it's a big part of it. What are the expectations on your family? Do they expect to come and live here with us?
Yeah,
because that happens.
Yes. So they come, all of them, the in-laws.
Munakuja wanhamia kwako, and maybe you're a private person. So that all those questions are very, very important. The last one is a question of religious beliefs. Sometimes when you're in high love, you're like, yeah, don't worry about your religious belief. It doesn't matter. We love. Most important thing is we love each other.
Yeah.
And then 2-3 years you start saying, okay, huendangi kanisa.
Mtu aendangi kanisa.
Wewe huendangi kanisa. Ama wewe ni of a different denomination from ours. So our children, yes.
Tutapeleka kanisa gani? Baptism watafanywa hapa.
Correct. So religious beliefs, it's important to have a conversation about religious beliefs.
Like me, there's something that shocked me.
Right.
We never talked about all this. Nimekwambia ilikuwa your oil peke yake.
Massage.
So for me, so you baptize. Oh, not baptized. Yeah, we baptized I was baptized when I was in class 8, when I'm big. But for kina team, PCA, they baptize when the baby is still young.
Yes.
Like ile ya
Correct.
Mimi najua kubatizwa ni kuingizwa kwa mto.
Yes.
Ama kwa swimming pool.
Yes. Kwa ocean.
Yeah, so the first time nasikia tugia pele kubatizwa, I'm like, anabatizwa aje, huyu atajui Biblia, atajui God, anabatizwa wa. So there was some sort of conflict because I feel like kwani anabatizwa, but okay, ndakubali tu juu amesema ni baba yake, lakini why?
Yes.
Like I am not there fully. Then come to circumcision.
Right.
As with circumcision, the boy is very young. Sijui 5 years, sijui tugise angekuwa na circumcisiwa. Then the dad is like, no, mpaka class 8. I'm like, guy, kwani anakadi class 8?
Yes.
So these things zinakanga very kidogo. But your heart, I'm like, semi kwetu najuanga zo. But you can't do kwenu here because now you're not
together. Yes. Yeah.
So you end up being like, okay.
Yeah.
Nitakubali tu, but you see, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, but we never spoke about them.
That's the thing. So cultural and religious beliefs, having a conversation about that is very, very important. Really, really important. Because as you were saying, now mnapigana juu ya small thing like circumcision.
Yeah.
And you don't know what, like, are you resentful that your son is not yet circumcised? I mean, do you have a conversation about that? How you felt about that? Did you feel like you were understood, even though maybe Tugi is not yet circumcised? Did you feel like, okay, my husband still understood my concern?
And then to make matters worse, he says ataenda ile ya kienyeji. They call it what? Traditional.
Yes, traditional, yes.
Mi nangoja tumpeleke hosi, aingia ku anesthesia, mnini. The dad is like, no. Nataka asikie, aende afunzwe akae kwa hiyo nyumba sijui ya nini. I'm like, okay. Juu mi si mwanaume nyaja tu afanye sasa. What do I know? But you see these things you wish, as much as si ati ningechange a lot nikijua, but I would have been in the know.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I'll be like, okay, my kids will go this nini. But si ati I'm bitter about it. Nile tu if I knew earlier hiyo baptism singekuwa zile za.
Right? And you know, so knowing how intense a belief system is and what it means to you, like, okay, you are saying now for you circumcision, I can live with that. I mean, not big deal. Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be something more intense than that,
Kabisa.
you know, like,
Kabisa.
wewe, mimi nikisha kuoa, you stay at home.
No
Okay?
working.
No working. How much were you earning that previous job? 60,000. No, I'll be giving you 60,000. Weka nyumbani. Are you okay with that? Did we have that conversation before? Okay.
And
I expect 7 children. You know, in our family, we have many children. Those conversations matter. That's it.
They do. Wow, at least we had the conversation for kids. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Kamau. This was fun. I think you should be coming in more often. For the first time, napata okay, not the first time, but at least for once, nasikia, I'm talking to a therapist who is talking in my language, like layman, naelewa. Unajua si uambua, for example, si uambua there's mental illness, but tuko like, huku nje atuelewi sana, atuelewi what exactly it is. Tunaambiwa, oh, you should sijui background checks, sijui where you came from.
Yes.
Hatuelewi, tulikuwa natuka ploti madhe anachukua pesa kwa koti ya mzaya na buy mkate. Si hatuelewi how it can affect us when you grow.
Right.
But when you put it into perspective, when you analyze the you're analyzing, kama hiyo ya dogi kwa cage, you see, we understand. We understand exactly what you're talking about. So thank you so much. Please wapatie like your last remark. Like in case there's someone amewatch anataka reach out maybe ama akona tu swali. How can they find you?
Hey, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. This was such an honor. I love the conversation. So thank you also for watching this Celestine's Reflections. You can reach out to me on my website at kamaumwangi.co.ke. You can also reach out to me on social media. All my handles are at I am Kamau Mwangi. You can DM. I'm going to respond to you. And so feel free also to book a session on my website if you would like to, or you want to a referral to a good therapist. I can help you to do that. So thank you so much for listening.
Tell them you'll be coming again.
I will be coming again. I've been invited, so I'll be coming back.
Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you so much. I hope you guys mmejibamba. Nitamleta sasa yeye na Kimani. Now I'll be here.
Tualie for you.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. See you next time. Bye.